macro and
one of the projects which got cleared, which is close to my constituency and whatever, is the Buxar thermal power project. The investment clearance was given for this was given in 2015. The government of Bihar had allotted it to SJVN in 2014. So after getting all the clearances, everything, all approvals, today the final clearance was given. Tender, etc. has already been done. Now the tender is at the stage of decision, so now they will decide it. And the work is in a position to begin at once. So everything else has been tied up. Similarly, the thermal power project at Bulandshahr, Khurja. That also, everything has been tied up. A coal block has been tied up. All environmental clearances are in place. For both the projects, land has been acquired. Land is in possession. Khurja is also ready to go. Orders have been placed for the different equipment, etc., or in the process of being placed. Now, so that project also will take off, and the work will start as soon as. And we are just waiting for this clearance. So that clearance has come through. The Kiru hydro project. Now, this was initially mooted in. We gave the pre-investment clearance in 2014, I think. In 2014, we gave the pre-investment clearance, or 2015. October 14. So my memory is right. So October 14, the pre-investment clearance was given. Today, and after all the environmental clearances, etc., now the final approval has come. That's a big day. As you know, that this is on the Chenab. It will be executed by a joint venture of the NHPC and the JNK government. It's called the Chenab Valley Power Projects Limited, CVPPPL, which is 49%, and 2% by PTC, 49% by NHPC, 49% by JNK, SPDCL, and 2% by PTC. Now this is, as I said, this is on the Chenab. So this is one of the western rivers. On the western rivers, we can use water on a non-consumptive manner. Chenab is one of them. Jhelum, Chenab in this. We can use water on a non-consumptive manner for generation of power, etc. Apart from that, pondage is also allowed for about 7 days. So their pondage will be for about 3 days. It will help with the peaking power requirement. Another hydro project which has been approved is the Teesta 6. Now, Teesta 6 is a project which was initially being executed by Lanco, by a private company called Lanco. They got stressed, and thereafter this found its way to the NCLT, and the restructuring process started. In the restructuring, bids were called for, and NHPC was the highest bidder, so they got the project for 907 crores. And after appraising the project and preparation of DPRs, etc., now this went before the PIB. The PIB approved it, and now the cabinet has also approved it. The total investment in this will come to about 5,700 crores. So this is of 5,700 crores. Kiru would be 4,200 crores. And the two power projects, one at Buxar will be for 10,439 crores, and the Khurja will be for 11,089 crores. So 4 major projects have been approved, all of which had got investment approvals earlier, and they were in the process of getting various clearances and various approvals. Now the final approval has come. Apart from this, two major policies have been approved. One major policy which has been approved is the hydro policy. Now, that was in the works for some time. Now, the hydro policy will be a seminal departure insofar as our hydro sector is concerned. The hydro sector has natural problems. The natural problems are that most of the projects are in areas which are undeveloped. You need to invest money to build infrastructure to approach the site. They are difficult areas, so you get geological surprises. That means higher per unit costs. That means higher investments, and it means time delays, etc. So all this led to higher and rehabilitation, resettlement rehabilitation. Then apart from that, flood moderation. All this led to higher per megawatt costs, and therefore hydro was not competitive. Now, in the hydro policy, we have taken measures to make it competitive. Number one, because hydro is actually a renewable energy, the whole world accepts hydro as a renewable energy. In our country, we had only accepted hydro projects below 25 megawatts as renewable. Now, we have done away with that distinction. All hydro will be renewable, which it actually is. The world over, all hydro is renewable. So now we have made all hydro renewable. Now that will mean that there will be a renewable purchase obligation. We'll call it the HPO, the non-solar and the hydro purchase obligation. The second thing is hydro is important for us because we are adding a huge amount of capacity under solar, wind, etc., all of which are infirm sources of power, so need balancing power, therefore hydro is important. So HPO will be there. Apart from that, the policy also provides that additional funds will be provided separately for development of infrastructure in that area, so that the site can be approached. The attendant infrastructure development can be, the costs of that will be met separately. The costs of flood moderation will again be met separately. There is a limit laid down. Under that limit, it will meet the costs of flood moderation separately. One of the reasons for the higher costs used to be that the tenure of the loan used to be 12 years, 13 years. Now, so you had to pay all that loan in 12 years, so the initial costs were very high. Once that loan was paid off, then the costs fell because the operational costs are very low, negligible. So what used to happen was that for the first 12, 13 years, the cost would be, let us say, 4 rupees or 5 rupees per unit or 6 rupees per unit, and then suddenly, once the loans had been paid off or the depreciation period was over, the tariff would fall to 50 paisa, 60 paisa. Now, so number one, we have discussed with the banks and we provided for this in the policy. We are extending the tenure of the loan to about 20 years, so that as provided, that there will be a flexibility, of course, for the banks. And the other is that the tariff which will be fixed keeping in mind the tenure for which the project lasts. That means the project will last for 60, 70, 80 years. So it will be an escalating tariff. Otherwise, because 6 rupees now and 10 years, 20 years down the line, 6 rupees means nothing. It used to be inverted. Actually, now we are making it more natural. So the tariff will also be escalating according to the price levels. So the tariff will be an escalating tariff. So this is something which the banks are happy about. So now the tariff can start at, let us say, 4 rupees, whatever the tariff is, and it will go on, increasing by a few paise every year around that. So that by and large, it is affordable right throughout. So even if at the end of 15 years, let's say the tariff reaches 5 rupees, the value of that 5 rupees will be equal to the value of 4 rupees then, if you take it discounted. Now these things will make hydro affordable. Apart from this, of course, because it will be used for balancing, therefore There will be time of day tariff for which provisions are there. The other policy which was cleared by the cabinet is regarding the thermal sector. Keeping in mind the reasons for the stress in thermal sector, we have addressed all the reasons for the stress. One of the reasons for the stress was the availability of coal, and the fact that if you do not have a PPA, you do not get coal. If you don't have a long-term PPA or a medium-term PPA, you don't get coal. So the committee had been set up under the cabinet secretary, high-level committee. They had given some recommendations. Those recommendations were seen by the group of ministers and approved by the group of ministers, recommended by the group of ministers. Today the cabinet approved it. So that policy provides that even if suppose you don't have a PPA, a long-term or medium-term PPA, we can give you coal linkage for a minimum of 3 months up to a maximum of 1 year. And you can generate power and sell it on the market or under short-term PPAs. Aggregation, I mean the power power can be aggregated and sold, and for that linkage can be given. Companies which already have PPAs but their plants are under construction can aggregate power and supply it under those PPAs, and coal will be given. Another thing used to be about payment. Now in payment, the policy which has been approved says that the delayed payment surcharge will have to be given. That is mandatory. So we'll be writing to the regulators accordingly. Then apart from that, if payment is not forthcoming, the PPA has to be rescinded because the payment is not forthcoming, then that does not mean that your coal linkage will stop. The coal linkage will continue for 2 years. So you get a period during which you can find other PPAs. So now if a power company is not paid, it will have the option of cancelling the PPA. If it is not paid regularly, it will have the option of cancelling the PPA. So that will give it that flexibility. If NCLT, if a plant was was under stress and it was auctioned by the NCLT, earlier all that PPAs etc. used to get cancelled. PPAs, clearances, all had to be applied for afresh. Now that will not happen. Now the clearances etc. will attach to the plant and not to the owner. So if a plant has environmental clearance, then even after it is disposed of in LCLT, those clearances will stay. So the fresh clearances will not be required. Then apart from that, in that policy, we have by and large also provided that
lapsing of coals.
Now what used to happen was that if people deposited money for coal and for rakes, and somehow or the other the coal did not materialize, now that used to lapse. Now it will not lapse for 3 months. So that will be under relief. By and large, we have tried to address whatever reasons were there for the stress.
Options be held at regular.
Yes. Another thing, we have also laid down that minimum 50% of the coal which is brought for auction will be for power. So the availability of coal under the auction mode for power will increase, and the auction will be held at regular interval. One, of course, is this auction, the market, open market system. The other is that linkage is also given by auction. Now that one auction was held, some people were not able to participate in that. That doesn't mean that they will miss out. They can again participate in the auction. And auctions will be held for linkage will be held at regular intervals. The Shakti policy provides for auction of linkages under their items 2, 3, etc., where you get coal linkage through auction. So those auctions will be held at regular intervals. So 2 major policies, 4 major projects today.
Because sir, you have covered everything. Just one point, that two coal-based plants are all supercritical technology and will be equipped with the latest environmental emission norms. So they'll be complying with all the environment standards. That's also you have covered actually details almost everything. Any questions?
So one small clarification, the debt repayment period for hydro projects has been increased to 18 years or 20 years?
I think 18 or 20, there's a flexibility.
Flexible.
Fine, yeah.
And all banks have agreed to it?
Yes, all banks have agreed to it.
Indian
Any
banks.
estimate on the budgetary support?
No, that will be on the case-to-case basis. Once the project is goes for this thing, it will be on case-to-case
There is
basis.
no
Each
separate
project doesn't have flood moderation component, and projects located in remote areas definitely will get the support for infrastructure. So it will be a case-to-case basis.
Sir, it's a bit ironical that today we approved a lot of measures for the hydropower sector, and two large hydropower producers are building thermal power projects. It speaks volumes about the sector. What kind of trajectory from here on?
No,
do you
no,
see
no.
for
It doesn't speak
capacity?
volumes for the water sector. What it does speak about is that now all our companies are diversifying, and that should be so. So you have the National Thermal Power Corporation, which is NTPC, setting up renewable energy plants. The NTPC is setting up hydro plants. So all our companies are diversifying, because that is what the energy scenario is going to be. The energy scenario is going to have different methods of generation. Yes.
But my question was this, how much capacity do you see being implemented or commissioned, let's say, next 5 years?
Okay. Now, the projects under construction are, I think, how much? About
40,000.
40,000 megawatts.
Coal-based.
No.
No, hydro.
Hydro.
Hydro is about what, 12? Huh?
Total 42 projects are
Under
under process.
process, under construction, and the capacity
12,000 megawatts.
12,000. So my memory is still working. 12,000 megawatts. Yeah.
So a lot of the measures recommended by the HLSC have been approved today. What happened to the ones that did not get an approval?
Like, you see, only one is pending. That is the payment security mechanism. Now that requires discussion with the RBI. So we'll have discussions with the RBI, and then we'll see. That was the only one left. Gas-based. Gas-based. Now gas-based requires discussion with the Ministry of Petroleum, Natural Gas. So we'll discuss these two separately.
Aren't you already in discussion with the Ministry of Petroleum, and what are the issues that they are?
No. We still have some ground to cover. Money is required. How much money is required? How much gas is required? Where will the gas come from? Yeah, we have ground to cover. Next.
So you've spoken something about the granting coal linkages for short-term PPAs and also for more number of auctions for linkage. So what is the availability of coal like, and has Coal India actually guaranteed the supply of coal?
Yes, the availability of coal is this, that as on today, the stock we have 16 days stock. We have 16 days stock.
I'm talking about the future.
And so the availability has increased. And in the future also, I'm quite certain that the availability will increase. And that is something which Ministry of Coal and us and the Ministry of Railways are constantly working towards.
Sir, you've talked about diversification, given that thermal generators are getting into hydro producers are getting into thermal. So we have also seen a consolidation happening, for example, PSC taking over REC. Are you preparing a ground for a merger for all generation entities in the country? In the sense that whichever are underground, does this kind of create the stage for that?
It will be, I mean, if it does happen, it will be the biggest company in the world. But we have to think about whether it will be manageable, in the sense that you need managerial focus also. And if it becomes too big and too diverse, it will be a matter of, the management controls may be difficult. Yeah.
So has it been on your radar, sir, this consolidation part of it? So for example, NTPC taking over other PSUs?
Discussions happen, are happening off and on. Yeah.
So can you name some of these entities?
No, not now.
So
Yeah.
what happens to tariff policy? When can we expect that?
After elections? Now, I don't know when the
So how
model
do you
code will.
implement-
I don't know when the model code will be announced. I mean, nobody can say that. I mean, it can be announced tomorrow. It can be announced on the 9th. It can be announced on the 10th. But I don't think it's far away.
So these recommendations, when will they be executed, given that a lot of projects are already on the verge of being
Yeah, I mean, the orders will come out today or tomorrow. Once the orders are issued, they are issued. The model code will not.
and this will not impact the next round for Shakti, the
No,
model code
no,
of conduct?
no. A policy, an ongoing policy, what will continue? Any other question?
Do we also see a revision in the renewable energy targets, given that large hydro is now classified as?
No.
It remains 1.85?
No. As far as that is concerned, once you join the two, we'll have to think about the target. The targets will go. If you add a large hydro, then we've already crossed the target, because as of now, the established capacity already established is 77,000 megawatts. Now 27,000 megawatts is allotted and under execution. So that makes it about 104,000 megawatts. And 37,000 megawatts has already been bid out. So that makes it 141,000 megawatts. So if you add large hydro, I have already crossed my target. So naturally, if you talk about a revised target, there is some there is ground for that. You have to have a revised target. If you add hydro, you have to have a revised target.
Basically, we have met the INDC target.
Obviously.
That in any case we were meeting.
Yeah, obviously. Now we have got. But I mean, this is something which every other country treats hydro as renewable. We were the only ones who were not treating as renewable, whereas it is renewable. It is totally clean. And there's absolutely, you can't get a cleaner source of energy. Yeah.
So will it also lead to concessional rate of interest on loans, given that if you term it as renewable? Will that also result in a lower...
we will be able to access finance, green finance.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
So also, so given that there is already stress, and we talked about the stress in the sector on the generation part of it, so there are a lot of projects which are standard. Given that, sir, they don't have PPAs, there's no new PPAs coming up as well, does it make sense to go ahead with this project at this point of time?
Which project?
The new ones, sir,
You already have PPAs.
No, if people don't have projects, that does not mean that the demand is not there or the demand is not increasing. The demand is increasing, and it will increase much faster. And in fact, we are going to need more investment today if I want to meet the demand in 2023. This is what these plants will do. In 2023, just Uttar Pradesh, for example, you talk about Khurja, the Uttar Pradesh will be short by 2,900 megawatts.
By 2023? By
2022,
Already.
it will be short by 2,900 megawatts. It needs more capacity. It's already buying a lot from the market. Bihar is already short today, is short by 1,000 megawatts. Its own generation is 600 megawatts. We are giving them about 3,600 megawatts from central capacity. And the total, I think we are giving them about 4,000 megawatts. And still, their total demand today is 5,300, peak demand. Right? Already short. And their demand is growing at a whopping 17%. 17%. Bihar. So, it needs all the power it can get.
What is the
What we don't take into account is the fact that we are going to, by 2023, about 48,000 megawatts would have been retired because they are old, they have outlived. 48,000 megawatts. Yeah, and if you don't have investment today, in 2023, you will not have, you will not be able to, you will not be generating enough power to meet your requirements.
Right, sir, because the reason I asked the question was also because CA had come up with a report where it had projected there was no need for new projects.
No, when the CA's assessment after including Buxar and after including Khurja says that you need 20,000 more megawatts. Yeah.
Just from 22 onwards, actually. The
From
CA
20.
report was up to 22 they don't, but 22 onwards you need. It's part of their plan.
Sir, on this thing that making it mandatory for states to pay the delayed payment surcharge, and you said that if they don't pay, the generators have an option to cancel the PPA.
Which is a part of every contract in business.
Yeah, of course. So I'm just
It's
trying to
normal
understand
business practice.
How is this an easy recourse for the generators, considering there is so much of glut?
No,
in
it's
the
not.
generation sector?
You know, cancelling a
People are
PPA
dying
for the
PPA.
generators. For the generators, cancelling a PPA, I mean, is like a cataclysmic thing. Getting a new PPA is uncertain. But if your coal linkage was depending upon the PPA, then you will never cancel it. Even if you don't get paid for 6 months, you'll never cancel it. But now we have taken away one of those problems. So we have said that okay, if you have to cancel it, we'll still give you the linkage for 2 years, so that in that 2 years you can get that.
My question was different. What I'm trying to ask is, you said if the discoms do not pay the delayed payment surcharge, the generators have an
No,
option to
if
cancel.
the discoms do not pay,
Yeah,
the generators, as per contract,
Right.
any contract, have a right to cancel the PPA.
that's right.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, in this environment where there is so much of glut in generation sector, is that an easy recourse? For
It is
generator
not.
to- It's not.
No, never. Even with this, it is not. Yeah. But with the market going and the market, expanding, now if you cancel a PPA and the linkage continues, it's not the end of the world. Because the demand is there and the market is there. Yeah.
I think
Any other question?
सर एक सवाल
हाँ बोलो.
हाँ, सर जिस तरह से पुलवामा के बाद बालाकोट में एयर स्ट्राइक हुआ था, राहुल गांधी विपक्ष जो है लगातार सबूत मांग रहा है उसको लेकर के।
देखिए, आपको नहीं लगता ये बड़ी शर्म की बात है? वो क्या कर रहे हैं? वो हमारी सेना पर, हमारी वायु सेना पर उंगली उठा रहे हैं। उन्होंने, हमारी वायु सेना ने क्या किया? हमारी वायु सेना ने पाकिस्तान में घुस करके उनके ठिकानों पर हमला किया। पहले हुआ था? नहीं हुआ था। अब किसी दुश्मन देश में घुसना बहुत हिम्मत की बात। ये हमारी बहादुर वायु सेना के पायलट्स ने किया और तब उस पर आप उंगली उठा रहे हैं। शर्म आनी चाहिए। चलिए, थैंक यू।
Please stand by for tea, Ms. Nath.